In the heart of the picturesque town of Amityville, the house stood like an ancient sentinel, its ominous presence casting an unshakable shadow over the neighborhood. The Dutch colonial structure had been a silent witness to a macabre history that defied all reason. A history that began with the horrifying events of a night etched in blood, the night Ronald DeFeo Jr. unleashed unimaginable violence, brutally taking the lives of his entire family. Years passed, but the dark cloud that had settled over the house never lifted. It remained vacant, a brooding monument to tragedy, its windows like cold, unblinking eyes that seemed to warn all who gazed upon it. The stories that whispered through the town were tales of malevolence, of strange occurrences, and the lingering aura of death. Yet, for the Lutz family, driven by a mixture of hope, desperation, and ignorance, the house represented an opportunity for a fresh start. George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 young children, saw potential where others had seen only despair. The house, despite its grim history, seemed like a chance to give their family a new beginning. Their excitement was palpable as they moved in, ready to write their own chapter in the house's dark history. But their excitement turned to terror as the sun dipped below the horizon on their very first night. An eerie symphony of strange sounds enveloped the house. Whispers like sinister echoes from the past seemed to seep from the very walls. Unseen footsteps echoed on creaky floors, doors slammed shut with a mind of their own. The children's laughter morphed into fearful sobs, and Missy, the youngest, introduced her sinister friend, Jody, a red-eyed pig that whispered unsettling secrets to her in the dead of night. Daylight offered no respite from the horrors. Cold spots materialized out of thin air, and the stench of decay hung heavy in the air. The feeling of being watched became an inescapable presence, a silent, judgmental gaze that seemed to follow them from room to room. The Lutz family was caught in a waking nightmare. As the days turned into weeks, the terror only intensified. George, who had been the very picture of strength, found himself transformed into a haunted figure. A palpable darkness veiled his eyes, his voice carried an ominous weight, and he was consumed by a malevolent rage. Night after night, he awoke at precisely 3:15 a.m., the very hour when the DeFeo murders had unfolded. Kathy's health deteriorated at an alarming rate, her vitality sapped by an invisible force that seemed to feed on her very essence. The children, under the relentless influence of the sinister atmosphere, displayed erratic and bizarre behaviors, as if puppets manipulated by an unseen hand. Desperation reached its breaking point. The Lutz family, in a desperate bid to find salvation, turned to a local priest, Father Delaney, who ventured into the house to perform an exorcism. But even his unwavering faith couldn't shield him from the malevolence that dwelled within. As he recited the sacred prayers, he was violently cast out, his faith left shattered. With each passing night, the house's malevolence seemed to grow stronger. Ghastly apparitions haunted every corner, and unseen forces played tormentor with their sanity. The Lutz family could bear it no longer. Fueled by sheer dread, they made a harrowing decision. In the dead of night, after only 28 days of their residence, they fled the house, leaving behind their possessions, their dreams, and their very sanity. The Amityville horror had claimed yet another set of victims, its malevolence etched even deeper into the very essence of the house. The Lutz family's terrifying tale of unspeakable horror and their frantic escape became a global legend, a stark reminder that sometimes the darkest of histories clings to the living, and some houses are best left to rot in the shadows of the past. In a quiet, remote village nestled deep within the woods, there stood a centuries-old mansion that was infamous among the locals. The house had a history steeped in tragedy, a history that extended far beyond the memory of anyone living. It was rumored to be cursed, and the villagers dared not venture too close after dark. One fateful summer, a family from the city, the Andersons, decided to escape the urban chaos for a quiet retreat in the countryside. They had heard the whispers about the house, but they dismissed them as mere superstition. With their young daughter, Emily, in tow, they eagerly settled into the mansion, believing it to be the idyllic backdrop for a peaceful vacation. Their first few days were serene. The family explored the nearby forests, enjoyed picnics by the creek, and marveled at the mansion's grandeur. However, as the sun dipped below the horizon on the fourth night, the house's ominous reputation began to manifest. It started with faint, inexplicable noises in the dead of night. Whispers and sighs seemed to emanate from the very walls, and strange shadows danced in the corners of their rooms. Objects moved on their own, and doors that had been securely locked suddenly creaked open. Emily, the young daughter, spoke of a new friend she had made, a ghostly figure she called Lucy, who only she could see. Each night, the family would wake to find their bedsheets in disarray, their belongings scattered across the room, and a pervasive sense of dread hanging in the air. Mr. Anderson, once a man of unwavering skepticism, began to change. His eyes grew hollow, his once joyful demeanor became increasingly somber, and he started experiencing vivid nightmares that left him sleep-deprived and terrified. The family began to uncover dark secrets about the house's past. It was revealed that the mansion had been the site of a gruesome murder-suicide involving a troubled family that had once called it home. The malevolent spirits of the past seemed to have awakened, and they were determined to torment the Andersons. One evening, during a violent storm, the mansion's eerie happenings reached a horrifying climax. The house itself seemed to come alive, with furniture levitating and strange symbols appearing on the walls. Mr. Anderson, pushed to the brink of despair, decided the family fled the mansion during the storm, never looking back. They left behind their possessions, their summer vacation, and their sanity. The mansion was, once again, left in its shadowy solitude. The Andersons' harrowing tale of their haunted summer would haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. It served as a chilling reminder that some places carry a darkness that goes beyond mere superstition, and certain houses should remain abandoned to the ghosts